Welcome to the RPP Footy Show for Div 2, the Bendigo Bank Footy Show, where I'm joined here by Simon McAvoy. Welcome.
G'day Lockie and Blackies. Good morning everyone. Looking forward to it.
It's good to be here with you, mate. It really is, and I think you're the right person to take over, Lock. It's great. It's fantastic.
Pleasure to be in the host seat where the great punster sat.
Yeah.
So good to take over.
Yeah, and you know, you've just got to take your hat off to Neil. Neil did an amazing job, and Brendan from the radio came to Neil when your dad was crook, and Neil was going to sit into the chair for 8 weeks, Lock, and then pass it over to your dad. But obviously things didn't work out. But he did 13, 14 weeks, Neil, and he's done an amazing job. And last week we got you on board, and you've been calling the games, and you know what a perfect fit to take over.
Yeah, it is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. I'm really enjoying what's going on at the moment at RPP, and I mean, again, like you said, Blackers, thanks to Neil, he's been brilliant over the last 13 rounds. So thanks to you, Neil, for what you've done for RPP and the Footy Show over the last couple of weeks. I mean, boys, Div 2 this year, it's been a fascinating year.
That's it. And having those 3 clubs go up and three down, it gave the lesser sides from Peninsula Division, Simon, and you two boys have seen more than what I have, but those 3 sides have been starved of success, you know, and it doesn't matter what competition you're in, when you're winning games, people want to get around the club.
Exactly right.
Absolutely, yeah. And Dramana's really, they've set the pace all season, haven't they? So it's going to be interesting to see whether they can keep going and deliver at the right time.
Yeah, well, they're playing consistent football. Their starts are slow, Lock, aren't they? But they were able to overrun Somerville last week. I think they got Devon Meadows today. But they haven't put a foot wrong. I know they haven't been blowing sides out of the park, but they've been getting the job done week in, week out. It's not as if they're 1 or 2 point games. I know the Red Hill game was a real close one, but for 3 quarters they really dominated Red Hill up there at Red Hill.
It's always a tough task to go up to Red Hill and get the job done up there, so to do it for 3 quarters is still impressive.
The thing about Dramana, they've been really lucky with injuries, haven't they? Like other clubs have really struggled, but Dramana's been pretty lucky so far. They've even had the luxury of resting players before finals. So, Ben Holmes had a rest last week, for instance, and they've still got a couple of guys to come back in. Reece Wild's not far off, and Jay Hutchinson as well. He's coming along well too. So, yeah, they're only going to get stronger, I think.
Well, you look at their best players. Sorry, Blackers. You look at their best players on the weekend. Rory Gregg, Dane Layden Kosikis and Rory Gregg. About 2 weeks ago, they were both playing through the twos.
Were they? Yeah.
So, they're two-sided. I mean, you got Dan Gertz, who's been playing twos footy as well. So they're looking really strong through the whole club.
So what you say there, Locke, is that when they got their opportunity, these guys have been made to work to get their spot, and when they've got an opportunity, they're
grabbing it with both hands. Yeah, that's for sure.
Which is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, sitting 2 games clear on top of the ladder, there's definitely no stress about not making finals for them unless something horribly goes wrong.
They're probably the only one that I think will be guaranteed they'll finish on top.
I was speaking to Ricky Johnston during the week, Dramana's coach, and he said the plan is he's got guys filtering back in. He says over the next 2 or 3 weeks he wants to solidify their top 24 and stick as close to that as we can moving towards finals. So they've got the big picture in mind at the moment.
He's one bloke that has carried a few injuries this year, Ricky, hasn't he?
He has, but he keeps performing. He knows his body better than anyone else.
He's an outstanding player.
The interesting for me, boys, is looking at their team each week is they're really putting across their best 22. I mean, you've got probably 8 or 10 backs in that side. You've got Ricky Johnson playing forward on some occasions.
Mate, it's a luxury. If they can afford to have Ricky play forward, then their back line is doing more than enough.
Exactly right. And I mean, Dan Gertz obviously coming back from that knee injury as well is massive for them. So, I mean, to be able to put your best 22 off and have those players missing out each week, it's pretty impressive.
It's great. They've got a couple of Dolphins. Josh Bateman played for them last week. He's had a bit of VFL experience. And, of course, Sam Fowler,
he bobbed up for a lazy 5 sign.
Fantastic, yeah. So they've got these guys who will probably be available for them as well, so... Very good. Yeah,
pretty impressive stuff for Dramana. We'll get into the results from last week, boys. We'll start with Crib Point and Tyab. Crib Point hosted Tyab, and unfortunately we said this was going to be a brilliant game, a 50-50 contest, and unfortunately for Crib Point, they went down to Tyab 6-11-47 to 8-16-64.
And like both sides, we said this last week, both sides would have thought we're a real chance here. And we just thought that Tyab with the more consistency throughout the year will get the job done, and we were spot on with that.
Yeah, well, I think Tyab over Crib Point probably have the more youth, and they really look to strive their club in a better direction and really want to better their side and get those W's on the board.
Yeah, I think they're well coached, aren't they? I think Aaron Pace he's the right man for that job.
Yeah,
and he's really looking forward to next year and beyond. He can see things happening at Tyab, so it's
Simon, they've won 3,
yep.
Right? They've been lucky to win 3 in the last 5 years. So they've won 3 this year. Fingers crossed, right? There's 7 games to go, is there?
6.
6 games to go. Maybe they might get another 1 or 2. If they can come up with 4 or 5 wins, yep. I think that's a big tick for Tyab and their committee.
Yeah, huge positive going into the pre-season too.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the recruiting path then, and you see instead of going to recruits and saying we've won 1 game this year, you can go and say we've won 5 games. We've got a team that's an average age of 22, and we're really striving forward as a club, and things are starting to become better.
Yep. And off the ground, they're flying. They've got the great Wayne Carey coming down in a couple of weeks.
Have they?
For a sportsman's night on Saturday, July 28th. Him and Corey McKernan are going to be at the club, so that's going to be a good evening.
Yeah,
a bit of a coup.
And they do like supporting their social functions, don't they, down there?
Yeah. Look, they put the question to Carey, are you right to play for us? But unfortunately, no, he's not available. But
he's in pretty good nick, the King, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still looking pretty good, Doug.
Yeah,
he is.
But there is good news though. Next year, Tyab will have a marquee player early in 2019, like they did last year when they had Daniel Kerr play. So they'll have the similar lineup. Yeah, they'll have a marquee player early in the season next season, so that's good.
Well, that's positive for Tyab. I mean, I went to the Daniel Kerr game, and unfortunately for Tyab, the turnout wasn't great. But, I mean, that's also coming off the fact that they weren't a brilliant side, and no one was really interested to going and watch them. So, I mean, coming off, hopefully, I mean, it's been 3 wins so far. Hopefully they can add a couple again. It'll bring a bigger crowd and obviously, get up and about.
Somebody to draw card early in the season.
Yeah, get a bit of atmosphere going,
Yeah, and look, we don't know if anything will restructure in the off-season lock or before that, but it would be great if there was a third-tier structure competition and Tyre would be one of those sides that would be aiming to play finals in that competition.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's certainly something that's probably going to be spoke about in the coming weeks and probably
it has to
big
be.
Time through the pre-season.
Yeah.
And, I mean, your sides like Tyre, Pearsdale and Devon Meadows and Crib Points will relish that.
I think so.
So Crib Point, I mean, they've been pretty disappointing, boys, for most of the year.
Yeah, yes, they have. They lost a few players, Symes and a few others, left the club in the off-season. They really didn't recruit. They recruited a few from the Eastern District League, but this is a good competition. I know the Eastern District is a good comp too, but it just hasn't. And I don't know what's happened. It'd be really good to get another Crib Point person on to let us know
to have
how
a
we're
chat
going.
about just to get process, because obviously 1 game this year isn't really good enough, is it, in this competition?
No, it's been a tough time, but they have blooded some young kids. Young McNabb made his senior debut earlier in the season, so things aren't all that bad. I mean,
Ned Shannon's been playing good football.
Yeah, Crib Point, they played off in a grand final only 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah,
they're not that far away.
Well, I think they are, Simon. Now, I think the last few years they've really taken a slide, and I think that at the moment it's a long way back for them.
It is a long way back, especially with sides like Crib Point, Tyab, just around the corner. They're struggling to get those recruits coming through. We'll go to the next game. We'll go to Dramana Somerville. Dramana obviously hosted Somerville quite easily, got the job done. 15-17, 107 to Somerville's 8-6-54.
It was really that second half that they blew them out of the water,
yeah,
wasn't
they did. And it's, fortunately for Dramana, it's probably only the second occasion where they've really blown a side out of the water. I think they beat Pearsdale quite comfortably earlier in the year. But good for Dramana coming into the latter stage of this season to really win convincingly.
They're hungry, Dramana. You remember last year they just missed out on finals. That really cut them deep. So this year they're making every post a winner. They're flying.
And they recruited well in the off-season. Yep. Plus they've got another year of good senior football into their young kids. Because remember, it was maybe 3 years ago, their under-19s won the flag.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, they've got a brilliant junior program along with your Langwarrens, your Mount Elisas. They really breed a good bunch of juniors that come through. I was down there last week with RPP, and the under-16s were putting on a breast cancer day, and
Were they?
the number of people that were there for that was astonishing for a junior football game. So really impressive things going down at Somerville. Obviously, they play Crib Point this week.
Do they?
So, you'd think they'd get a win on the board there. And
Yeah, and it's at home, isn't it?
yeah, it's at Somerville. So you'd think they can get some confidence back up and about with that. Obviously, missing a couple in Everett.
Well, Billy Rolfe's out too, didn't he?
He's done for the year now. Billy
Oh,
Rolfe.
is he? Yeah.
He broke his collarbone from a heavy tackle. So
That was against Langwarren.
yeah, that was against Langwarren.
Justin Alsop.
I think he was a minor injury, Simon. I'm not too sure about that one.
Yeah, so anyway, so if they can get a few of those, they can probably blood a few more kids in the run home. And whether Andres is going to coach again or not, I'm not too sure. Whether he's committed for next year, that's something
We haven't heard. Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a few changes in the coaching ranks. That's what I'm hearing. But yeah, that's all going to play out, of course. But I'm not sure about Andre.
There's something you can maybe do a bit of homework on.
Well, if you hear anything, let us know, mate.
I mean, brilliant. It would be awesome for Somerville if he can stick around, because he's been a brilliant leader at that club.
I think that they need that for stability-wise, Locke. And, the year before, Bevan and Andres worked together. Bevan stepped aside, and Everett just needs to get some good people behind him.
Yep, completely agree with that. And I think the younger coach works better with that not younger group, but that middle-aged group that are playing some good footy.
Yeah.
We'll go to the next one. We'll go to Rye Hastings. Massive result down at Rye. Rye 13-9-87 defeated Hastings 9-17-71.
It was a game Hastings really needed to dig deep, and we always knew it was going to be a challenge for them down there. But I expected Hastings to just get over the line,
especially coming off the defeat they had against Red Hill the week before last. They really needed to bounce back and have a good win against Rye at Rye. And as Milesy said last week, they normally have good history down at Rye. But to get beaten by a Rye that are missing, that don't have a forward line, it's probably Kirkwood popped up, kicked forward, got best on, so he clearly played full forward.
He played midfield and rested forward, so his bullocking was outstanding for him last week, and he's a great leader, Adam. And like you said, Brody Egan's gone down, and Tommy Baker's gone down, so they've really been stretched in that forward department. And Hastings, look, if they're not careful today, Tyre will throw everything at them, and up until the 10-minute mark of the last quarter, first time round, Tyre were 30 points up, or 28 points up, and then Hastings were able to kick the last 5 goals in with a strong breeze. Now, it's going to be terrible windy conditions again today, 40-knot winds and, scattering showers.
Not a great day for fishing, Blackers.
Not a great day for football either.
Are you going to tip the Yabbies tone?
Well, I just, I just know how important this is for Hastings.
Yep.
Well, especially
I think Hastings are the most vulnerable side in the competition at the moment.
Well, Langwarren 2 points behind them and Rye a game behind them. They've got some serious pressure on them sitting at 5th spot.
Yeah.
So it's a must-win game, Sam.
Absolutely, yeah. It's time for them to step up, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I think their long injury list. Like, I don't know how far Foster is.
Foster's a massive one to come back.
He's huge.
Yeah.
So Luke Clark has been inconsistent with his with playing as well. Boland went down first game of the year. But everyone has complications.
Well, you've still got your Cliffords, your Rogashes, your Luke Smiths, your Greys, your Hewitts. Yeah. There's no excuses to come from that camp. They've still got their A graders. McVeigh as well, exactly right. So there's still those A graders that can bob up and win those games of footy.
That's right.
Obviously, Rogash and Clifford kicked 2 each, and Luke Smith got best on. So their best players are doing the job. It's clearly that those consistent performers that they need in the bottom, 8 or 6 or 8 players that just aren't stepping up each week. So we'll go to Red Hill Chelsea. Massive win for Red Hill, I think, over Chelsea.
We just thought that their legs outside speed was going to, and ball use.
Exactly right.
It was true, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, Irving 4, and it was good to see young Harry Wynn Pope.
He's been in good form,
Get
Harry.
best on the weekend. So obviously, when your ruckman's getting best on time, you're playing some good footy, and your midfielders getting first use.
What about Chelsea? Have they got a genuine ruckman, or is that one area that they're a little bit?
I think it's
deficient
more
in?
of a centre half forward that plays ruck, so I think there is a little bit of a deficiency in that. But
yeah, and especially when you got Winpope, you look at Kringle, Goodall, and Farrelly.
Warren, Matthew Norton, was my best on the weekend against Kringle.
And his last 3 weeks have been outstanding. You know, the first 7 or 8 games, he didn't even play lock.
Yeah, well, he did broke his ribs against Kringle in the first round. I think it was early, only in the first quarter. So to have him back's been massive for Langwarrin, especially in their run. Trying to make it to the finals. We'll speak to Blake McCormack a little bit later about that. But yeah, he's been massive for him. So yeah, for a side like Chelsea to not have that, to have that makeshift ruckman, it's going to be tough come finals time.
Yeah.
So
so they were really good last week, Red Hill, and to really opened up. They kept, I think, Chelsea to 6 goals.
Yeah, 6 goals.
Tough conditions.
6 goals.
And it's going to be tough conditions up there again today. And on that big ground, I think probably those conditions, it was very similar when these two sides drew. It was a real windy, wet day. And I think that plays into Langwarrin's hands a little bit, because of the fleet-footedness and the skillfulness of Red Hill will be taken out of that game just a little bit. So, and I think Langwarrin are a pretty physical team.
They are very tough. Their midfielders are midfielders that like to get in and win that hard ball and feed it out. And as you said,
and that's
Red Hill.
What the dominance was over Kringle last week, wasn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
That's obviously
they were hungry
through the twos game. The rain absolutely come down, and the ground at Langwarrin was a mud pit. So
Red Hills coach Jamie Moller, he seems to be really getting the best out of his team. He knows he's got a good balance there, and he keeps challenging that team, and they keep stepping up and responding to him. So it's
Chris Irving back into the side.
Yep.
Simon, is the difference between those close games early in the season that they were losing. Get Chris Irving back. We all know how good.
Well, what's he kicked? 9 or 10 in 2 weeks of footy. So
yeah, he kicked a 6 and a 4. So
yeah, so 10 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the perfect man to come in at the perfect time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt about that.
And their captain Marcus Delago's playing really good football. John O'Ross was quiet last week, but other people bob up around him. They blooded a young kid called Kane Hawkins last week. He's been a really good. He played in their premiership side last year. Still eligible for under-19s, I think, Kane.
Yeah, exactly. So impressive stuff going on at Red Hill, and I mean, way too.
And you
good
talk about junior programs. Theirs is as good as any too.
Yeah, well, you look at their under-19s, and you were there for 3 years, and I think they were in the grand final for 3 of those years. So definitely an impressive junior side program coming through 4. Sorry, Tony.
No, that's all right.
And we'll go to the next game that happened last week. Obviously, Pearcedale hosted Devon Meadows. Pearcedale had Drew Petrie down there.
Drew.
Pearcedale managed to get the job done by 8 points there, and from all reports, Drew Petrie was the saviour.
He was outstanding. He was there early on the day. He did a 45-minute chat at the luncheon, which was great. He was there until 9 or 10 o'clock that night in the club room, signing autographs, taking photos. And I know he kicked 1 goal, but I heard that he was influential in 4 others.
Well, I was there. I watched him in the last half, and he was fantastic. Kids would come up to him at the huddle and ask to pose for photos. It was not a problem. He obliged in every occasion, and he asked to play in the ruck in the last quarter. He went to Lee Stewart at 3/4 time. He wanted to get them across the line. He knew he needed to go into the ruck to get across the line, and he was fantastic in that last quarter.
Yeah,
he was everywhere.
He was the difference
really good,
between them. I know Theodorus was outstanding last week, and he kicked 5.
Yeah, kicked 5.
But my understanding was that he was the difference. Drew Petrie was the difference between Pearcedale winning or losing that game.
And I mean, you can't. I mean, as good as Drew is, you can't take anything away from Luke Delmo's performance. Kicked 3 and was their best player from all reports.
Fantastic. Yeah, look, it's something about having a marquee player. They do it each time, Pearcedale. The rest of the guys seem to step up. They raise their game, and they did it last week. They were really good.
Yeah. No, it was good.
And Devon Meadows, I mean, that obviously coming off some disappointing weeks, to put it up to a Pearcedale side with reportedly 1,500 to 2,000 people there that would have been against him. To only go down by 8 points is pretty impressive from past performances.
Yeah, no, it was. But look, it was a game that Pearcedale needed to win. They won it. now Devon Meadows, I'm not too sure who they play. Oh, they play Dramana today, don't they?
Yeah, they've got to go down to Dramana, unfortunately for them. So tough task, but all you can ask if you're Glenn Mickey is that you get out there and give you 110%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we'll go to the last game of that round last week. It'll be Langmoor and Coringal. Langmoor getting the job done at home, 12-17-89, 11-5-71. I commentated that game. That was RPP's match of the day, and Langmoor were super impressive, boys.
Yeah, they really set the scene early, didn't they, Locke? They set the game up in the first half, and really, at times, Coringal challenged them, but they were never able to bridge that gap.
Every time Coringal kicked a goal and had the run on, Langy were able to answer, and I think they jumped them by about 5 or 6 goals in that first quarter and really set it up, as you said, from the start. Murphy, obviously, again with another 3.
Yep.
Absolutely dominating.
Gerard Brown's playing good footy too.
Mate, their key forward line, they've got Gerard Brown, Jesse Murphy, a young fella in Matt Painenborg, Kieran Albanese. They're all bubbling up, kicking goals, and are really hard for defences to go with.
They're coming, aren't they, Langy?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're one of the sides that's going to be thereabouts, obviously, and putting pressure on Hastings.
Well, 2 points behind, only 2 points, and they come up against Hastings in 2 or 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
If they could get into the finals, they could do some damage, I reckon.
Yeah, they need to. They've got a big challenge today in Red Hill. Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
We will. So we'll go to a quick break and come back to you with more of the fixture of today's games. You're listening to RPP, the voice of commercial football.
Here at Bendigo Community Bank branches,
we support local footy.
Local teams and all our community champions.
Bendigo Bank and RPP FM, bringing local footy to the community.
Watch our live telecast on RPP FM. It's live and it's local.
Welcome back to the Division 2 Footy Show. We've got Blake McCormack on the line joining us. Blake, great win on the weekend. You guys are posing some serious threats come finals time, only 2 points behind Hastings. First of all, you got yourself knocked out in that last quarter. How are you feeling?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad at all. I had to go for a brain scan yesterday, and it's just to see if I can get myself up to play this week. But
what is it, the Wizard of Oz, is it?
Having me on tonight, thanks.
Is it the Wizard of Oz, Blake?
The what, sorry?
The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that's it, Blackers.
The old scarecrow. Hey?
Oh, no, I've got a few nicknames at work now. They call me Candles.
Yeah.
Candles. I don't know about that.
I thought last week, mate, you really led well in the back line, Blake. You really set the boys up, and you were part of the reason that Langmoor were able to get off to a great start.
Yeah, thanks for that. So, look, coming across as a senior coach early, especially, Black has been a player coach yourself, maybe early on just got caught up in the moment trying to coach the boys too much and worrying about my own performance. But, now that I've got used to it, I can just sort of go out there, play my game, and, everyone's leaders out there at the end of the day, and, to structure them up and to see us get the win was fantastic.
I think the best way you can go as a young coach is just lead and do as I do sort of thing, rather than talk and overcomplicate too much. Because you've got Joshy on the boundary, so your main role, mate, would be to just lead those boys on the field. Yeah,
100%. And, Josh and I have got a really good relationship, and, I obviously trust him on the bench, but, you just sort of get caught up in the moment a little bit early on, but I've found some form over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, and just cemented myself back down there and just playing a role at the end of the day.
You boys, from watching on the weekend, it's the first time I've watched you guys this year. To me, that there's a really strong bond between you all as a group. Obviously, you got interviewed by us at the end of the game, and as a group, the Langy boys as a huddle walked over to you afterwards to make sure you're all right. There seems to be a massive bond with everyone down there, and it obviously says a lot. There's only 2 4-point players at the club; the rest are 1-pointers. So, obviously, coming into the club this year, Blake, a strong bond between everyone.
Oh, 100%. Like, they're probably coming over, mate, just to make sure I didn't fall over. I still probably didn't know where I was, mate. But culture's a massive thing with footy clubs, and we sort of said from the outset that, you know, for us to go anywhere, we not only need to perform on field, but really change the way we go about things off field as well, and to have a tight bunch of blokes that love each other, you know, on field and off field. You're going to get rewarded for that much earlier than just getting a bunch of blokes that aren't there for one another.
Early on in the season, Blake, your intenseness and hardness at the ball and all that was really good, but you just weren't able to finish sides with your execution, and probably your decision making let you down at times. You know, you look back at that Coringal game, you know, you were right in a lot of close games, but in the end, a couple of poor decisions at the wrong time hurt you to win those games.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. So coming into Coringal this week, we spoke about it. Sorry, last week we spoke about the fact that they were able to score. I think they kicked 6 goals last time we played them from direct turnovers inside their forward 70. So I told the boys that we should be going into that game with a heap of confidence, knowing that if we can minimise our turnovers, we felt that we could play all over them, and we did that, and we got the 4 points, and you know, we forget that, and now we've got Red Hill, who are probably
they're the form team of the competition. Them and Dramana are obviously the two formed sides. The others are getting the job done, but it's the way they're going about it, and
it's always tough to go up to Red Hill and play them, especially in the conditions we're going to have today. You know, 40 knot winds, as you said, and some rainfall. It's going to be tough, but it almost dulls the way they play their footy as well. I mean, Blake, obviously you know firsthand that they really defend well and spread well off half back. Obviously, you guys have a really strong forward line. And play tall, but you know, when it comes to, you know, maybe defensively, how do you think you're going to shape up against that Red Hill defence?
Yeah, you're right. It is a massive challenge, but sort of Josh and I, we're going to use that to our advantage today, and you know, we know a lot about our opposition, and yeah, like what you said, we're going to try and exploit them up forward, and we feel that they're getting the job done through their best sort of 8. They've been in some consistent form over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Been playing really good football.
We've got a few shutdown roles today, and we'll try and nullify their run through the midfield, and it may be a shootout, but today we feel that the conditions are really going to suit us.
Yeah, obviously Shane Patterson did a massive job on Michael Burke last week. Is there a chance we'd see the Irving Patterson head-to-head this week?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. He's
and Norton
on Thursday night. Sorry,
Norton and Wimpope's going to be a really good battle too in the ruck. Yeah, both who are really good in-form ruckmen. Yeah,
well, we gave our best on to Norton on the weekend, and obviously Wimpope was Red Hill's best on, Blake.
Yeah, well, we sort of, Josh and I watched the game, Chelsea versus Red Hill, and we felt that Wimpope's midfield dominance, like he gave their midfield first use time and time again. And we feel that, you know, Red's in some pretty good form as well. So if we can nullify their first use in the midfield, we feel it's going to be a good battle in there and a good fight. And, you know, with Red's experience, once he starts giving out boys, you know, we get on the outside, we might get some deep entries and be able to score.
Blake, you've got the competition's leading goal kicker, Jesse Murphy. Can you?
Yeah.
How important is he to you? Obviously, very important. But can you give us a bit of his background and just tell us a little bit about what sort of a player he is?
Oh, first of all, like, you know, he's a country lad. When we first caught up with him last year, he's just one of those blokes that you want around the club, and he just buys into what clubs are about. You know, he's one of the last ones to leave on a Saturday. We have a thing at Langwarrin called Kanka Cash. You know, an award every week might be $30, and you go and spend that over the bar, and he's always shouting people with his Kanka Cash and stuff like that. And
he's won a few, has he, Blake?
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he might have got a few off me, mate. Just quietly. Yeah. So, but just, you know, just sum him up. He's just one of those blokes that his experience and his opinions like matter. Like he speaks up. He structures the boys up really well at training. I've just got nothing but positive things to say about him.
Oh, mate, he's had...
to have him down there.
And Simon, he's had some wonderful coaches. Gerald Fitzgerald, who's arguably one of the best country coaches going around, you know. So he's come from a good environment.
Yeah, well, and I mean... Yeah, it's super environment, Blake, and obviously just to bring the experience that he's bringing to, you know, your Matty Payne and Borgs, your Kieran Albanese's, who haven't, you know, played in a real structured Langmoran forward line. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, the most pleasing thing to see is his second and third efforts. Like, the boys really respond to that and they look up to that. So if he's out of a marking contest, he brings it to ground and then he'll lay a tackle or two. And the other guys, they just look at that and they're inspired by it and they just want to lay a couple of tackles themselves. So, you know, he's never out of the contest, which is great.
Now, mate, 2 points out of finals. Obviously, a tough draw coming ahead. You play, obviously, Red Hill today and Dramana coming up as well next week. What's the message to the boys? Obviously, it's pretty important to win the next couple of weeks. The boys playing some brilliant footy and up and about, and obviously you've got a brilliant, strong bond, as we touched on. What's the message to the boys being, you know, so close to that 5?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So, we break up our season into thirds. So, you know, we have a meeting after our first 6 games and we probably understand that we got off to a slow start. And, you know, touching on what Black has said before, we weren't able to close out games. We then sat down and said, righto, this is our next 6. We feel that we had a pretty tough run out of our next 6. And we said for us to have an opportunity to play finals footy in 2018, we need to win 4 out of that 6. We sat down last night, a bit of a roundtable chat. We challenged the boys mentally and how we can improve as a group. And you sort of sit down and we feel that if we can take 5 out of our next 6, we're pretty much guaranteed a finals berth. So, understandably, you know, the next 2 weeks are massive for us. We've got Red Hill today, followed by Dramana next week. But we feel that the footy that we're playing, we can pinch 1 or possibly 2 of those games coming up, and we've got 3 out of our last 4 at home. So, and we haven't lost at home yet. So we're pretty confident going into the later stages of the year.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And it's exciting stuff to watch. I mean, Langmoran they've come a long way over the last couple of years. So it's brilliant to watch the way you and Beardy are leading your boys and the way the boys are reacting. So good luck today, mate, and look forward to watching how your season unfolds. Thanks for joining us.
Good luck, Blake.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, boys.
No worries.
Right, see you later, guys.
Yeah, massive couple of weeks for Langy because they've got Red Hill today, and then they've got Dramana at home. They need to break even and win one of these, you know. So,
definitely, especially with Hastings hosting Tyab.
If they lose today, there's 6 points gone again, you know, so in arrears of Hastings again. So that's why it's important today. You'd expect Hastings to beat Tyab, right? You'd expect Red Hill to beat Langwarrin up there because at home you'd always pick the home side.
Well, I mean, you really want to stay, if you're Langwarrin, you really want to stay within that 2 points of Hastings as, you know, in 3 weeks' time they come up against them and essentially that can be a 6-point turnaround.
That's right.
Yeah, so, in both competitions, now's the time you can shape your season. It's season defining the next 2 weeks for a lot of teams. It's really crunch time.
There's no doubt about that. So we'll go to our first game today, boys. We'll go to Coringal hosting Pearcedale. Coringal obviously coming off a close loss with Langwarrin, missing a fair few players, and Pearcedale coming off a good win.
So what sort of players are they missing? Mick Goodall's one.
You look at both their ruckmen.
Goodall and Farrelly.
Yeah, Goodall and Farrelly.
Todd Farrelly, is he playing?
Todd Farrelly hasn't played.
Is he likely to come back?
I'm not too sure.
Because he was in really good
one.
form. He was probably leading their best and fairest at that stage.
The fittest he's been in a long time as well. Buddha Hurst hasn't been playing, who's a massive goal sneak, and you add him in with Matty Stanley, playing some good footy.
Yeah.
Luke Van Ray didn't play on the weekend.
Didn't he?
Duncan Proud didn't play on the weekend.
Okay, well there's 2 of their key defenders, isn't there?
Stephen Meyerbeck and Blake Simpson didn't play on the weekend.
Okay,
so
there's 8.
I mean, there's 8, you know, starting 22 players that haven't been playing. They're still able to, you know, get within 3 goals of Langwarrin.
Those last 2 boys that you mentioned, Meyerbeck and
Simpson.
Are they got leg speed?
Simpson's a mid and Stephen Myvek's a wingman.
Because the others aren't blessed with a lot of leg speed, are they?
No, that's definitely. I mean, Burke plays for the middle, he's just a smart old player, as we all know. But Simpson is little and just adds so much pace and burst from those packs. And Stevie Myvek's a really good left-footer wingman that adds some pace on the outside.
I mean, they should be beating Pearcedale today.
Oh,
yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, obviously
Pearcedale had their big win last week, and I think that they'll get to the game today, and there's probably not as much incentive for them today, boys. I think Kringle will get the job done.
Yeah, I'm with Kringle as well, Simon.
I agree, yes.
Yep. We'll go to Chelsea hosting Rye. Chelsea obviously coming off a disappointing loss to Red Hill, but it is always tough to go up the hill
but it was no
and take on
surprise.
them. No, exactly right.
No.
The form Red Hill are in.
Probably a surprise to some of the Chelsea people, but not in here.
No.
I think all of us.
Yeah, we were all with Red Hill, that's for sure. And Rye, I mean, they come off a brilliant win against Hastings, so there's definitely some confidence from that camp.
And like you said, there's only 4 points between Rye and Hastings now, so it's like Langwarren. Rye have to just keep on winning and winning. But I think up at Chelsea, Chelsea will rebound today. I think they haven't lost a game at home. Maybe Dramana. Sorry, they might have got beaten by Dramana at home.
Yep. Yeah, it's a really special moment today for Rye and one of their most famous families, the Jennings family. So young Zach Jennings is going to make his senior debut for.
Is he the brother of
Jimmy?
I believe so. But the thing is, he's going to be Rye's first ever fourth generation player. So it's a really famous name, the Jennings name. So Zach is a lightly framed, classy wingman. He's been dominating in the under-19s. Now, his great-grandfather was the great Clary Jennings, who played in Rye's first ever game in 1947, went on to become president for 21 years. Clary had 4 sons. Danny was the most notable. He went on to play league footy for Melbourne. Zach's grandfather was Vic. He played 21 games for Rye, and Zach's father is Chris, so he's the 4th generation.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, wonderful. And I think guys like Mick O'Rourke and Scotty Beale and that down there, they'll be chuffed at that.
Absolutely.
Because the Jennings name is like the Appleford name down there. It's huge.
Oh, it's good just to see the juniors sticking through as well. I mean, obviously a name like that, they want to stick around Rye, but they've struggled over the last couple of years with their 19s and stuff coming through. So
yeah, well, the last 2 years they've been able to swing that around, and their 19s are winning games and getting blooded.
Yeah, sitting third, I think, at the moment.
It's interesting. You speak to Josh Moore, the Rye coach, and he says finals aren't even a focus. They're not even thinking finals, which is interesting because they're not actually that far away. If they could upset Chelsea today, they're right in the mix. But it's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, only 2 points behind Langmore.
Clark's been playing well for Chelsea off the back flank. Bywater kicked another 4 last week out of 6. So his dominance up forward has been really good. He's had a good pre-season. Gee, he's a big, strong boy.
He's a very strong boy. And when he's fit, he's a really hard player to go with. He's not that tall. He's almost similar to Jesse Murphy, just a bit stronger. So, I mean, he's in some brilliant form and really hard to stop.
Chelsea for mine.
Yeah, Chelsea for me as well.
Yeah, Chelsea, yep.
We'll go to Dramana taking on Devon. Dramana coming off a big win against Somerville last week, in form. I mean, along with Red Hill, they're the in-form side of the competition, and Devon Meadows
they've done nothing
disappointing.
Well, they've done nothing wrong all year, Dramana. They've beaten all the sides. Yes, they had a hiccup against Red Hill, 1 quarter of football. I think that they must be wrapped with the way that they've unfolded.
Having said that, they are going well, Dramana, no doubt. But I had a look at Devon Meadows last week, and they had real spirit. They played with genuine spirit.
They're not a bad player, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. They're hungry, and they all seem pretty close. In wet weather, they're going to give effort at least today. Devon Meadows.
Yeah, I think down at Dramana. Dramana's always a really hard ground to play on.
Although, as Simon says, wet weather, a bit of wind around. It's they're a pretty clean side, Dramana. So, I mean, I'm with Simon. Devon could definitely throw an upset in there. But I mean, I think Dramana. I still think Dramana might get the job done. But definitely hope Devon Meadows rock up the side they did against Pearcedale and give it their all and put it up to Dramana. So Dramana for me.
Yeah, okay, that's all right.
What do you think?
I think Dramana are easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Tigers for me, yeah.
We'll We'll go to Red Hill. Obviously, the Hillmen hosting Dramana. That's going to be a brilliant game of footy. Langwarrin. Yeah, sorry, hosting Langwarrin. That's going to be a brilliant game today, boys.
Yeah, and I think, like we said off air, I think that this will suit Langy a little bit more, just to get the closeness of the game. I think if it was a little bit drier, I would favour Red Hill. I still think Red Hill will win. I think that they'll win fairly well. But I just think that what Langwarrin bring to the table is a lot of good effort.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting game of footy for me. I mean, you look at the Red Hills results and their best players over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, they got Irving and Ross who've been popping up and kicking goals from midfield and forward. But then all their defence, they've got those running defenders.
Yeah, Dan Mack and
Jonas Iverson.
Yeah, I think
players like that.
Matt Hayden hasn't played for a few weeks too. He's a wonderful ball user.
Yeah,
he can't be far away.
So I mean, in conditions like this, it does really favour Langwarrin. They've got those key forwards that, as Blake McCormack said, that can really...
and even Brown, in these shitty conditions, he can really clunk a ball. So can Murphy.
Yeah, so, I mean, it shapes up to be a brilliant game, Simon.
I suppose, if for either one of these teams, Langwarrin should be more desperate, really. I mean, their season is on the line. They got to win pretty much every game. Yeah. So...
And as a coach, I think that's great because the boys know what's expected from them. So I think it's when you're a coach and it's games that you should win that you get so let down on. But these are the games, as a coach, you don't have to get the boys up as much.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they get it themselves up, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They know what's
expected of them.
The potential result is as well if they can't get the win on the board. So it shapes up to be a brilliant game up on the hill. I'm going to go with Langwarrin in these conditions today, boys. I think the way I saw that, I mean, the way they played last week in the same conditions, they really, really impressed me, especially with that forward line. I thought maybe the wet conditions might have them struggle, but
yeah, but they look good, didn't they?
They were bloody impressive.
Those conditions suit a fella called Chris Irving too. He's a bull.
Yeah, any conditions for Chris Irving, he's going to play some good footy. Are you with Red Hill Blackers?
Red Hill, yeah.
I'll go Langy.
Yep. Perfect.
Gee, Simon, hey? Just because you play cricket there.
Well, they're desperate, Langy. They're coming, so here we go.
Yeah, the bond there's pretty impressive at the moment. Somerville Crib Point boys. Somerville aren't playing great footy, nor a Crib Point. Somerville host Crib Point today. Sloppy conditions, the ground probably will chop up a bit. Probably going to be a scrap of a game.
Yeah, a bit of a scrap of a game. And look, just sheer weight of numbers, Somerville's list is better than Crib Point's. I know both sides got a few injuries, but overall, I think Somerville at home.
Somerville, yeah.
Yeah, Somerville for me as well. I think they'll get the job done quite easily. And Hastings Tyab, that'll be at Hastings today.
Yeah.
Sloppy conditions again. Hastings likes to chop up, but going to be an interesting game.
Tyab, they are a good desperate side. You talk about Langwarrin and their commitment for each other and their commitment to the ball. Watch out, Hastings. If you're not on today, you'll get your the points taken off you.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, as you spoke about earlier, Tyre went close to beating Hastings. They had a big lead earlier in the season, and they just let it slip. So
didn't know how to win, really.
Yeah.
They should be pretty confident, Tyre, today.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd think so, especially coming off a win, and obviously Hastings, their attitude clearly isn't with it at the moment.
No.
To go up to Ryan, beat a Rye that aren't in form and are missing a forward line is pretty disappointing for Hastings. So they're definitely going to be asked of this week. There's no today.
Can't afford to lose this.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. With Langwarrin, potentially going to get the job done over Red Hill. They can't lose this. They want a 6-point lead over Langwarrin, that's for sure. So that wraps up the Division 2 fixture this week. We'll be back to you with the Division 1 round. RPP Voice of Peninsula Football.